Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Captain Kurt Stronach, Chief Nuclear Weapons Inspector, U.S. Fleet Forces Command, I'd like to welcome you to today's retirement ceremony. Today, we pay tribute to Lieutenant Commander Thomas Princeton, retiring after 20 years of dedicated naval service. This retirement ceremony today is not prescribed specifically by U.S. Navy regulations, but rather it is an honored ceremony of the rich heritage of naval tradition and history. Custom has established this ceremony be dedicated to strengthening the respect for service and our core values. I request you all please turn off all electronic devices for the duration of the ceremony. Today we are honored to have in attendance Lieutenant Commander Princeton's wife, Crystal, children, Kaylee, Kirsten, Michael, and Megan, and his parents, brothers, and in-laws all the way from Minnesota. To all other distinguished visitors, families, and friends who have come to celebrate Lieutenant Commander Princeton's retirement, welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand please stand for arrival of the official party and remain standing for the presentation of our colors, the singing of our national anthem, and the invocation. Military personnel in attendance but not part of the official party or ceremony should remain uncovered. Boatswain's mate, post the side, boys. Stand by to pipe the side. Lieutenant Commander Princeton, United States Navy, arriving. Captain, United States Navy, arriving. Captain, United States Navy, arriving. Boatswain's mate, retire the side boys. Advance the colors.
Advance the colors, Color Guard eyes. Look out. Forward. March. Look out. Mark out. March. Hands. Halt. Left. Face. Freeze that. Arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem will be sung by Mrs. Sarah Anthony.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land give a big shout out and
Retire the colors.
Show the colors, color guard aye. Color guard, forward, arms. Ready, cut. Right, face. Forward, march.
Pastor Ricardo Ariola will now deliver the invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you have made, and we choose to rejoice and to be glad in it. We ask for your blessings on this retirement service, and especially for the Princeton family. We choose to rejoice and to celebrate Lieutenant Commander Thomas Princeton for his years of faithful service and sacrifice to the United States Navy and to his country. We thank you for your countless blessings on him and his family while he served faithfully. Your word says in Proverbs 26 that many will say they are loyal friends, but who can find one who is truly reliable? The godly walk with integrity. Blessed are their children who follow them. We thank you for giving Lieutenant Commander Princeton the grace and strength to serve with integrity and to be found faithful in service as a sailor, as a submariner, and servant of our Lord Jesus Christ. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is with great pleasure that I introduce today's guest speaker. Captain Seitz is assigned as the Deputy Commander for Warfighting and Training at Commander Submarine Development Squadron 5 in Bangor, Washington. He has served on the USS Michigan Blue, USS Santa Fe, USS Houston, and commanded the USS Tennessee Blue. Go ahead, volunteers. Additionally, he has served as a sonar and tactics instructor at Naval Submarine School in Groton, an inspector of the Tactical Readiness Team on the staff of Commander Submarine Force U.S. Pacific Fleet, Chief SLBM Emergency Action Procedures on the staff of Commander U.S. Strategic Command in Omaha, Nebraska, a successful officer awarded the Defense Meritorious Service Award, Meritorious Service Medal, Navy Commendation Medals, and Navy Achievement Medals, along with various unit awards.
Thanks, Dustin, for that very kind introduction. It's good to see you again, and good to see the other department heads, chiefs from the USS Tennessee, all part of to honor the Princetons in this great achievement of 20 years of service. So it's an honor for me to be a part of this celebration today, and it was a great privilege to serve with Thomas on board USS Tennessee, and having had the opportunity to observe him and his family in a leadership role. So I want to take a few moments here, since you can read about his career and his bio there, so I'm not just going to rehash that. I'll give you a chance to look at that. But I want to talk about the things that make an effective naval officer. So I want to review kind of the character qualities that I think set people apart for success in naval service and how those relate specifically to Thomas. And I was told here, what am I going to speak about? Speak about Thomas and speak about 10 minutes. So don't worry, it's not going to go very long. All right. For those of you who have not served in the Navy, I just will paint a brief picture of what it takes to achieve this meritorious retirement and milestone after 20 plus years of service, especially with a growing family. Although underachievers and only 4 children, my wife and I, won't point that out, like there's still room to grow here. But for those of you who have not served there, starting off enlisted, you rapidly realize that it's a challenging job compared to what your peers who chose not to enlist did coming out of high school, right? The worst thing you can do for yourself is compute your hourly wage. Like, don't do that. It's super dangerous, because then you realize that you're grossly underpaid, and most civilian jobs will not require you to work 80 plus hours a week and sleep at work every third night. You're not going to get any of that. So don't just morale buster in your early days of your Navy career to do that, so don't. But as you grow in your naval career and you start to meet people that will become lifelong friends. And then you start to rub shoulders with men and women in the service who inspire you and teach you skills, and you reach new achievements, and you continue to train and gain new skills. And as you slowly realize at the end of your 20-year career, like, there is nothing that I cannot achieve having served on the submarine force in the most challenging assignment possible. That it all becomes valuable. Those things in those first 2 years where you're like, what have I done to myself? By year 20, you start to realize that what I have done is set myself up for a lifetime of success. Yeah, thank you. Trade out here for the Facebook Live people. There you go. Much better. Much better. Can you make me prettier too? So just to discuss the character qualities that lead to an effective naval officer, and this list is not mine, and those of you on Tennessee have heard this many times, but I will say the things that the core character attributes that make an effective naval officer: integrity, accountability, initiative, toughness, self-learning, and trust. Also, for those of you with watch, don't worry, I'm not going to talk in detail about each one. But I do want to discuss a few things that I think particularly apply to Thomas and to his family. Integrity is often defined as doing the right thing when no one is looking. I think it's more than that. It is having a strong moral compass, a set of moral values that allows you to make values-based decisions and always keep. And I would say that Thomas has that moral compass. I observed it many times, and he was always able to prioritize correctly those things that must be done, and to keep his word with faithfulness and diligence, even often at great personal cost. Any of us who have gone to sea, and at least in some cases, go to sea at times when you know your family needs you. You have to make that decision. It's a hard decision, complicated. And I know Thomas made those decisions, often at great personal cost. He demonstrated his character inside and outside of work, and I'm sure many of you have been the beneficiary, knowing that what Thomas says, and it's been a great blessing to me to watch that. Accountability, often viewed as strictly disciplinarian, as in like someone must be held accountable. There is much more to it than that. There is an aspect of discipline and accountability, but I prefer to focus on the ownership side. That's what Thomas always demonstrated. That is, an officer who understands accountability, seeks to fully understand all areas for which he and his team are responsible, and execute those duties to the very best, the utmost of his ability. He must communicate his vision clearly to the team, and he must then hold that team accountable to achieve that vision. Exacting standards in all assigned tasks are then enforced. Thomas was able to accept great accountability for himself, hold his team accountable with a particular grace, I think, that stands out from other officers that I've observed. I never saw Thomas raise his voice, but I knew things that were assigned to him were going to get done, and they were going to get done correctly. Of course, it's much easier to hold people accountable when you have their respect, and Thomas earned it day in and day out. He was able to craft a highly performing team by providing an example of consistent, diligent personal responsibility and complete reliability. Of course, it does make it much easier when you have great chiefs to handle the enforcement side and great petty officers that are willing to exceed expectations day in and day out, and I think we were very blessed in that department on Tennessee. So the last thing I want to talk about is initiative. Initiative is the ability to self-assign or independently determine your own assigned tasks. It's the ability to see what needs to be done and then do it. The go-ahead side, right? In many ways, it's a defining characteristic of a good husband and a father, right? As a dad or as a husband, you often have to see what needs to be done and just recognize that nobody else is going to do it, so it's up to me. And so that initiative is a critical core competency for a naval officer. The ability to show initiative at all levels is one of the values that has made the U.S. military effective. It's critical in battle, but no less so in the day-to-day execution of our duty. A Ohio-class submarine, or any U.S. submarine, is a complicated instrument with many, many moving parts. It's like living in a giant Swiss watch, as somebody told me once. And so nobody understands all the different pieces and parts that have to move together to make that submarine a place where we can all live harmony and achieve our combat mission. And so having the initiative or enabling that initiative to push down to where each independent officer is able to understand and see the areas for which they're responsible and execute those duties is critical. And Thomas displayed that. He's always done that well. It's also one of the reasons he was selected as an officer. Just good academics and conduct is not just not sufficient to be selected as an officer. It requires self-discipline, which is a subordinate skill that supports the characteristic of those with initiative. I think the Navy working uniform displays this initiative as a sideline. It kind of shows you subtly that naval personnel must show initiative. The flag on the left-hand sleeve of a Navy working uniform is placed in a position opposite of how you would normally see it hanging. Normally when you hang a flag, the field of the Union Jack side is on the upper left. Notice on the working uniform that it's on the right, which is odd. Why is it backwards? Backwards because that flag is there to demonstrate that the military continuously advances. That flag is facing a headwind, so it's flowing in the opposite direction. It is there to show that initiative for a U.S. military member matters, that it's important that we each independently attack the duties that we've been assigned, and Thomas has always done that. I always call that the go-ahead flag. And so Thomas showed that. Integrity, accountability, initiative have made him an outstanding naval officer, but I don't want to neglect the most beneficial and important asset that Thomas brings to the job, and that is, like all submariners, marry up. His wife, Crystal, has been the most valuable thing that Thomas has brought. The life of a submarine spouse is not, it means being completely independent for months at a time, and then figuring out how to allow your husband the illusion of some measure of control for the brief times that he comes home. And as you add church, jobs, volunteer, children, additional responsibilities, medical necessities, all those things that you've handled over those many years, Crystal has done that incredibly effectively. You guys have grown a beautiful family over the years and have made a great team, challenging and supporting through this difficult Navy career. And Thomas managed somehow, always, to keep his family first. I always knew that that was the top priority of mine, but I also knew that he understood his obligations to the Navy and that he would carry them out. So I appreciate that. If you've ever played the game of life, you ever seen anybody here ever played? I'm probably dating myself here. But the game of life is a fascinating old game in which you got this little car, and then you would drive around the board and you would make all these decisions about jobs and careers and insurance, all these. Nobody plays it now, has insurance. All these things that you choose, and as you go around the board, you pick up a spouse and you pick up children, and then you reach this retirement phase. Well, the beauty of a Navy career is that you reach the retirement phase, what is really the midpoint of a professional career. You have an opportunity now to go on and finish the rest of your professional work. But the great thing about the Navy is, congratulations, you have won the game of life, right? That's it. Congratulations. And what you will receive in perpetuity from the Navy in this pension is a small compensation for the many days that you had to leave your family that you knew needed you, or leave behind people that desired your presence more than anything else. And for the months and then spent running into years spent completely out of communication, submariner, with those people that are most important. It is a small compensation for one having to live with me, I get that, among others, and having to do all the things that we did as part of our team on Tennessee. But as you pack up your car, drive west to Minnesota, look around, see the little pegs of spouse and children, and realize that you have won the game of life. Congratulations. For my part, it's a privilege to serve with the Princeton family. They were a joy at every level. Thomas was an exceptional department head, utterly reliable, a flawless warrior in the Department of Defense's top priority mission. On the home front, Crystal was the glue that held the wardroom spouses together, endlessly creative. Thomas's crafty wife, I like to remind you, who shared her boundless joy with the entire team. And winners of the game of life together, I thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share this joy with you. Congratulations. Well done to you both.
Thank you, Captain Seitz. Crystal, please join Lieutenant Commander Princeton on stage. Captain Stronach will now recognize Crystal as a submarine lady of the submarine force. To all those who see these presents, greetings. Greetings! Know ye that in special recognition of the personal character and abilities of Crystal Princeton, who as the devoted wife of a submariner in good standing, has repeatedly demonstrated her patriotism, loyalty, fortitude, and a continuing love and esteem for submariners, and has frequently contributed to the morale of the submarine force by her cheerful willingness to render assistance to the families of other submariners when in need. I do herewith appoint her, by and with the consent of officers and men of the aforesaid force, a submarine lady of the submarine force. Know ye throughout the United States Navy that, as a special mark of our gratitude, she is entitled to wear the submarine insignia. Further, she is entitled to all privileges of a submarine lady, and I do strictly charge and require all members of the submarine force to render her every courtesy and their highest esteem, and I do encourage them to assist her in any manner within their capabilities whenever the opportunity arises, by the normal tenets of chivalry or by actual necessity. For though at sea her spouse may roam, she valiantly serves her ship at home. Done on this 24th day of June, 2022, in the year of our Lord. Signed, Kurt Stronach, Captain, U.S. Navy, U.S. Fleet Forces Command. Kaylee, Kirsten, Michael, and Megan, please join your father on stage.
I have enough to deal with, so.
Captain Stronach will now present Crystal, Kaylee, Kirsten, Michael, and Megan a certificate of appreciation from the United States Navy. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. Greetings. Today, after completing 20 years of active naval service, your father has ended an honorable and faithful service to his country, and his efforts are sincerely appreciated. Such a rich and rewarding career reflects a strong commitment to the principles of freedom and democracy and the belief that they must be upheld at any cost. That type of total commitment is not possible without full support of the entire family. Although you may have never had to carry out a military order or deploy into hostile waters, your loyalty and steadfast support of your father's career can rightly be viewed as service to your country. That loyalty and dedication were significant sources of strength for your father during arduous duty and exemplifies the highest traditions of patriotism. On behalf of the Navy and U.S. Fleet Forces Command, I extend to you sincere thanks and express our appreciation for a job well done. Given this 24th day of June, 2022, signed, D.L. Cottle, Admiral, United States Navy, Commander, U.S. Fleet Forces Command.
Honest, faithful, and zeal and obedience is the good conduct medal that he's awarding his children. I could not do that for my children. Must be good kids.
Lieutenant Commander Princeton will now present Crystal with the Military Spouse Medal. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. Greetings. The spouse does not wear a uniform, yet they serve their country. They do not acquire nor wear ribbons showing where they have been, yet they go. They did not ask for the duty they perform, yet they unwaveringly serve to their best ability. They serve, yet they are not honored with trinkets or pieces of cloth showing their service. The burning candle signifies the lonely nights you have spent and that you have kept the home fires burning, a symbol with no beginning and no end. The ring around the candle flame symbolizes the undying flame of love for your spouse. The image of a rose is for the unwavering devotion you have shown for your spouse and their service to their country. This medal is gratefully given to those that do not ask, that do not stay on the home front so that their spouse can serve, for they also proudly serve their country. Captain Stronach will now present Lieutenant Commander Princeton with a letter of appreciation from the Governor of Florida. The letter reads, Dear Lieutenant Commander Princeton, congratulations. It is a pleasure to send my best wishes to you on your retirement after 20 years of honorable service to the United States Navy. Your devotion to duty reflects your commitment to your nation and the highest standards of the military profession. The integrity and courage you undoubtedly demonstrated in defense of your state and country are greatly appreciated. As a veteran of the U.S. Navy, I understand the sacrifices our military and first responders make to protect our state and our nation. Those who selflessly serve our country, both at home and abroad, will always have my support. I wish you all the best in the years ahead. Sincerely, Ron DeSantis, Governor. Lieutenant Commander Princeton also received letters of appreciation from former Presidents George Bush, Bill Clinton, and Jimmy Carter. Captain Stronach will now present Lieutenant Commander Princeton with his End-of-Tour Award for his service at U.S. Fleet Forces.
Hey, I'm going to take a minute, and normally I don't get to talk, and I could not even pale in comparison to Mr. Sykes. But I think it's important, as his officer in charge in Norfolk, he works for Mr. Griffith, just take a couple minutes on my view of Mr. Princeton. So you see this big box over there, he'll be given here in a minute, says Mustang on it. A Mustang and a Thoroughbred. So to compare the two, sitting to Tom's left is a Thoroughbred. What my wife would consider a regular officer. They made a choice in high school, they studied hard. Didn't have many nights out on Saturday partying because he was doing science project. Most of them were Eagle Scouts. Right? And he, at an early age, these Thoroughbreds, these 1120s, decided where they wanted to be and how much they wanted to get paid at age 40. From Minnesota, Thomas was a little mixed up. So, he enlisted in the Navy. And I don't know, I've never been to Minnesota, and everybody I've met there are great people, and I think I have the fourth of the state here, I told that yesterday. So I don't know what they're doing without you. But Thomas was a little mixed up, but he went to nuclear power school, and he shined so well, they kept him. Right? I mean, the guy had about 8 years in the Navy, and we had spent thousands of dollars in training, and then he got picked up for the State 21 program. Percentage of people that get picked up for that is so small, and for him to be sitting here today as a graduate of that, or a failure of that. See, Mr. Sykes points out all the positives. The Navy is made up of a lot of adjectives. I like to say I'm a Mustang, unrefined, and I just put it down to the
That's a
level.
good cutback, though.
What's that?
Good cutback.
Yeah, well, right, or, you know, I'm on the street corner and Mr. Sykes drove by there with that Mercedes. I never really figured out how to make any money. It took me about 35 years to make captain. It took Mr. Sykes like 14. But, and I'm sure Tom was on that path, but Tom is really here as a failure. And I'd like him to acknowledge that. We the Navy chose this select individual for the Seaman to Admiral program. Key word in that sentence, to Admiral. We spent 4 years. We sent him to college. He was in the ROTC group. He's very proud of that. And he got paid. He made first class while he was in college. I was on a sub, cleaning villages and trying to dance. But he got to sit in the classroom and get an education. And then he came in, and this fitting we're down here in Kings Bay, the home of the Strategic Defense of the United States Navy, because he did his 2 submarines here. A guy like me that's been around a long time, I read a bio, and I'm like, that's it? But you all have a book, look at Mr. Sykes, and I was saying that to Tom when we were sitting up there, I go, you know, it doesn't sound like that. And lift a billet after billet after billet, ship after ship, and then I'm like, I know, I get 2, Rhode Island and Tennessee. But we don't want to make light of that. I mean, we are in the presence of a person that is smart, articulate, keeps himself well involved in the community, has the ability to overcome adversity. And Crystal, that would be you. Thank you very much. He is not sitting here today without you saying, yes, he can do it. And I failed. I tried hard a couple times that we have interactions to get you to sign up for him to do a longer time. But I couldn't be prouder. I think, though, you're going to reflect on your life, Tom, and you're going to look back, and kids, you'll get over and move in, wherever that may be. I had a whole nother talk, but I can't use it. I almost blew it yesterday. You gotta let me know secrets. I ate my shoe yesterday talking to his mom and dad. And you know, not to be forgotten, we don't have him sitting here today if he did a terrific job raising him, even though he was a little mixed up. He got that straightened out in nuclear power school. And you got to do that twice, right? And yep, and even though you try to tell Crystal, don't do it. And they can hear you already echoing, don't do it, don't marry him. It's good that the families knew each other, and it was just kind of an arranged thing. And he said, Crystal, take one for the team, right? Take one for the team. Raise this boy. And so you've done a great job. Thank you. But, you know, so I think you're going to look back, though, Tom, and reflect on your life and say, you know, and Mr. Sykes referred to it, hey, ding, 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 you won the game of life. That's awesome. Now go get a life. So, most of the time it's come with a gold watch and a rocking chair. Yours comes with go get a job. To be named later. Nice try, families. You're not going to get it out of me. Something with clam chowder in Boston. I don't know how it is. On a serious note, you know, I cannot say more about Tom. I'm not going to go into the adjectives of his, you know, dedication. He's a good guy that the Navy's going to miss. He's given it his all. I think we gave him a lot more, but I mean, it's not a fair balance. He played it well in the game of life and got his car full of 4 children and amazing children. He talks about you all the time. But, you know, Tom's a holistic guy. You know, when I meet people, there are guys that are just conniving to get to the next rank. All they care about, they don't take care of their people. They don't look behind. They're not humble enough to realize, hey, I started out as an enlisted guy when I was confused. And then I got the right pronoun as naval officer. And so, as he was moving through, the decisions he makes and looks back, you're going to look back on it and say, you know what? I did good in the Navy, whatever your next job is. I'm sure you're going to do exceptionally well with that. But when asked at a VFW having a cold glass of water because they were fine, they put the bridle on you. Is that what you use out there? Put that bridle on you and got you refined. You're going to look back and say, you know, no need to ask me what my greatest job in the Navy was. It was the United States Navy. And you know, that time when you were the officer deck driving the ship, there's nothing that's going to compare to that. But I'm sure you'll make some kind of spreadsheet or some kind of to-do list or a plan of actions and milestones. That's what officers do, the refined ones. Have all great ideas on paper, and it doesn't really get executed until a Mustang rips that up and we just go do it. Tom, your time with me for the last 2 years has been spectacular. They keep me grounded. And Admiral Richardson, a famous admiral that has since retired, years ago realized that we could not leave Mustangs by themselves. We needed some measure of a moral compass, as you pointed out. And so he asked us to inject an 1120 like Tom into our community. So he's the only one. And I'd like to say that I might have gotten a little bit more from you than you got from me because you just ignore me. That's not only the case. I didn't have enough time with him. Crystal bent him into the LDO world, and he's resisted it all the way through Mr. Sykes' mentoring that he gave. He warned him. He said, hey, you're going to go work for that guy. Go home a lot and ignore him. But, you know, it's just been spectacular. You make quite a difference. The thousands upon thousands of sailors that you have trained and mentored and affected, whether you even knew it or not, as that officer of the deck, that guy roving around as the weapons officer, their safe past in the reactor compartment back that ended. All these guys are minimal time. So in the nuclear world, there's the CRA, and then also you were a staff pickup at Prototype. That's the golden child, if you want. He's got the gold star in his head. While he was a student, they said, that's my goal. We'll keep him. How long did you do that for? 2 years. Most guys do a year and they say, let's leave. No, I really appreciate it and looking forward to it. And this culminates in us recognizing them. We don't give him the 20-year award because he was awarded throughout his career. But certainly Admiral Cottle and Admiral Kilby, our two bosses up in Norfolk, are going to appropriately recognize him right now. So, okay, come up, we'll give you a tour, and we'll roll. Thank you very much.
Guests, please rise. Attention to award. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Meritorious Service Medal to Lieutenant Commander Thomas H. Princeton for service as set in the following citation. For outstanding meritorious service as Assistant Officer in Charge on the staff of Commander, U.S. Fleet Forces Command Nuclear Weapons Inspection Detachment, Kings Bay, from November 2020 to June 2022. Demonstrating exceptional knowledge, Lieutenant Commander Princeton ensured the nation's strategic arsenal remained safe, secure, and reliable. As the Personal Reliability Program Inspector during numerous nuclear weapons technical inspections, he was responsible for ensuring Atlantic Fleet ballistic missile submarines met rigorous nuclear weapons safety and security standards. His proactive leadership resulted in efficient execution for inspections and hundreds of routine observations in this zero-defect mission area. As a recognized expert in nuclear weapons inspections and policy, his analysis, insight, and direct participation in the Navy nuclear weapons assessment enabled Department of Defense and Department of the Navy policy updates that were influential in improving many facets of the nuclear weapons enterprise. Additionally, his direct approach to mentoring waterfront strategic weapons officers on the Personal Reliability Program contributed to the overall success of this key program. This superb tour of duty culminated in distinguished career of 20 years of naval and faithful service to his country. Lieutenant Commander Princeton's professionalism, perseverance, loyal dedication to duty reflected great credit upon him and were in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. For the President, J.W. Kilby, Vice Admiral, U.S. Navy Deputy Commander, U.S. Fleet Forces Command. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Captain Stronach will now present Lieutenant Commander Princeton with the U.S. Fleet Forces Nuclear Weapons Inspection Detachment plaque.
He's literally stealing this because we have to buy this. I cannot let an officer leave Fleet Forces without some memento to a job that will be named some other time in the future. To reflect back on his time at Fleet Forces, he really did do a great job, and this is just a small token of appreciation.
It is a tradition that at retirement ceremonies, the retiree would like to honor the United States flag and present this flag to a special loved one in their family. The flag ceremony, Old Glory, will be presented today by a group of sailors and officers hand-selected by Lieutenant Commander Princeton, representing his advancements during his naval career. Flag detail, post.
Flag detail, about face.
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutions of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshiped, I am saluted, I am respected, I am revered, I am loved, and I am feared. For more than 200 years I have fought in every battle of every war. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, the jungles of Guam, Okinawa, Tarara, Korea, Vietnam, and in the heat of the Persian Gulf and a score of other places. Long forgotten by all but those who were there with me, I was there. I led my sailors and Marines. I followed them and watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn, and tired, but my sailors and Marines cheered me. I was proud. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of countries that I've helped set free. It does not hurt, for I am invincible. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my own country. And when it is done by those whom I served in battle with, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the surely bonds of earth, and from my vantage point on the moon, I stand watch over the new frontiers of space. I have been a silent witness to all of America's finest hours. But my finest hour comes when I fly at half-mast to honor my soldiers, my sailors, my airmen, my Marines, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother. At the graveside of her fallen son or daughter, I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave, dear God, long may I wave.
Flight detail, about face. Flight detail, dismissed.
Lieutenant Commander Princeton's flag was flown with pride over U.S. Fleet Forces Command, the USS Alaska, USS Tennessee, USS West Virginia, USS Maryland, USS Rhode Island, and the University of Kansas Naval ROTC Unit. Lieutenant Commander Princeton will now read his orders. Guests, please rise. Attention to orders.
Lippend.
Not in there.
You wish. Bupers orders number 0742. Official retirement orders for Lieutenant Commander Thomas Henry Princeton, U.S. Navy. Your request to be transferred to the retired list is approved by the Secretary of the Navy, effective 1 October 2022. On 1 October 2022, you will be transferred to the retired list with the grade of Lieutenant Commander and with the retired pay of Lieutenant Commander pursuant to provisions of U.S. Code 62323. When directed by reporting senior, detached in September 2022 from Nuclear Weapons Inspection Detachment, Georgia, Kings Bay. Proceed to HOMA selection. Regard relieved of all active duty effective at 2400 on date of detachment.
Guests, please be seated.
For 20 years, this sailor has stood the watch. While some of us were in our bunks at night, this sailor stood the watch. While some of us were in school, in our trade, this sailor stood the watch. Yes, even before some of us were born into this world, this sailor stood the watch. In those years, when the storm clouds of war were seen brewing on the horizon of history, this sailor stood the watch. Many times he would cast an eye ashore and see his family needing his guidance at hand to hold in those troubled times. But still, he stood the watch. He stood the watch for 20 years. He stood the watch so that we, families, fellow countrymen, soundly, safety, each, every night, knowing that the sailors. Today we are here to say, shipmate, the watch stands relieved by those you have trained, guided, led. Brother, you stand relieved. We have to watch.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present to you Lieutenant Commander Thomas Princeton, United States Navy, retired.
Water, got the tissues. See how this goes. All right. All right, so, Crystal, kids, the day is fine. All ready? And kids, the formalities are almost over. Have to get through me. All right. Colleagues, friends, family from out of state, thank you all for taking the time to help my family celebrate this milestone. So before I get to the more difficult part of the speech, I'm going to thank some key players for this event. Captain Stronach, thank you for your mentorship and your frank honesty. You guys all saw that for the last year and a half. Your decades of experience in uniform have given you a seemingly endless variety of stories, and your willingness to invest both time and energy to the people you lead mean that there's always something useful in each of those stories. I know that I'm disappointing you by quitting, but neither I nor my family were built for a 40-plus illustrious career like you. Thank you. Captain Seitz, thank you for the sentiments. Time and energy you devoted to Team Tennessee resulted in a command culture that was both challenging and rewarding. Both the department heads would agree on that. Thank you also for bringing a small portion of your family all the way from Washington State to help my family celebrate this event. I say small portion because when I reported to the Tennessee as a weapons officer, or WEPS, I was told I would fit in pretty well with my family of 6 with 4 kids, because the captain has 5 kids, and then the XO and the Cobb both had 4 kids. So there's big families. But I do have to inform you that my pastors, Rick and Shannon, they've got you beat. 7 kids. 7 kids. 2 of which were born while I was serving as WEPS. They just don't stop. You've got some work to do. All right. Kidding aside, you and Courtney took great care of Team Tennessee family. Chris and I are excited to spend some time with you. Speaking of my time as WEPS, I'm fortunate to have both the engineer and the navigator who worked with me for the majority of my time on Tennessee in attendance. So Dustin, Ben, thank you for taking the time out to help me celebrate. And Brandon, not here, but Lindsay, thank you for your support of Crystal during that time as well. Much appreciated. Jeremy, I thank you and Melanie for coming out, taking the time. For those who don't know it in this room, which is a lot of you, we share some unique parallels between our families. We decided to tie the knot on the same day in 2003. So we have the exact same anniversary. And our hometowns are only about 2 hours apart up in the Midwest. So I hope that you, Melanie, and the kids all have a great time in Hawaii as XO. NWID team, here, back there, over there. So I'll point out. Each of you all had unique ways of making my time as AOIC, Assistant Officer in Charge, memorable. Chief Roman, our talks on leadership have been very beneficial. Senior Chief Barefoot, you're as stubborn as a mule, but you either know what needs to get done or you know someone who does know what needs to get done, so thank you. Master Chief Turley, you are adamant about protecting your men. So your missile techs on the Rhode Island are getting hooked up with a great system very soon. Steve, OIC, you were backing me up each step of the way with this retirement process. I'm grateful for all the advice that you offered up. Chief Warrant Officer Hendricks could not be here today, but he was working hand in hand with Crystal for a lot of the details for this ceremony, so if you're watching, thank you. Pastors Rick and Shannon, there. Your support on the shore side of my tours at Kings Bay has been beyond wonderful. Not only did God bless you with words of encouragement specific for both me and Crystal, you were also a pillar of support and advice when I transitioned to shore tour. Crystal had to deal with me on a more routine basis. Under your leadership, Hidden Treasures, H-Tag as us members know it, is a family of believers where the saying, many hands make light work, is proven true, and many H-Tag members have also provided support and encouragement. So yes, I did start off as enlisted. And a little shout out to someone who was there with me during my enlisted days. We started off the morning bright and early at 06, Gavin Wolf. So if anyone hasn't seen the Mustang plaque, there's a few symbols on it. All right, in the upper right, there are the Tennessee and the Rhode Island logos for the boats that I served on. And on the bottom left is a radiation symbol symbolizing my time as a nuclear machinist mate, trained as an engineering laboratory technician with chemistry and radiological. When I went through the Navy's nuclear training pipeline the first time, Mr. Gavin Wolf and I were very close friends. He was an excellent source of Southern hospitality, and he was the first person to tell me that I had an accent. I found it very ironic that this guy with his deep Texas drawl would tell me that I had an accent. But as we traveled across many different states during my career, Crystal and I have both learned that our Midwest accent is unique. In fact, one of the headhunters I was working with in my job search kept over-enunciating the O in Minnesota whenever I talked to him on the phone. Anyways, thank you, Gavin, for coming down, for helping me to celebrate this event. All right, parents, both sets. Your support for me and for Crystal and the kids has been extremely helpful. Between helping us move on multiple occasions, providing Crystal with a home, away from home during several patrols, I can't thank you enough. And now that I'll be working for Xcel Energy, their nuclear power plant in Monticello, you'll have even more opportunities to watch the kids, and you'll give us a temporary home for a bit, so thank you for that. Crystal and I have already seen multiple examples of God's work this month, both in the job search and in the process of selling our first house. So I'm confident He'll guide us towards the right house, right church near Monticello. Up and over. Right. So I really wish that your Grandpa Princeton, my dad, had seen y'all grow up. But had a reason to visit New York, birth, Kirsten, South Carolina, for the birth of our unexpected set of twins, Michael and Megan. He would have seen 4 grandkids that are all unique, but all have a love for God. You've been able to watch each of you overcome different forms of adversity, but I love you all very much, just like He loved me and my brothers. I know that I missed many holidays, many more special occasions, and I know that you've had to say goodbye to friends when we moved. You had to change schools, having to change schools. So accept those flowers as a small token of my appreciation, and know that your resilience, self-confidence, love, and support throughout those moves gave your mom and me strength. Proud of each and every one of you. That wasn't even the worst part. Captain Seitz and I were definitely on the same page. President Captain Seitz often says, he's said it during his speech, submariners are good for marrying up. Meaning that submarine wives are just as talented as their husbands, albeit in different ways. Although you're going to shake your head at this, this is true in your case. You were certainly dealt some blows during my tours on the Rhode Island and the Tennessee. You had to move the family across town during my time on the Rhode Island, while we were alert, so I couldn't email back. Megan's seizure was at the beginning of my first patrol. I think it was that first night, the first patrol. Kaylee had an ocular migraine. We have a lot of medical terms. She knows them all, so ask her later. An ocular migraine causing temporary blindness during my second patrol. Kaylee's leg tumor, which threatened to require surgery during my third patrol. It's all with the Tennessee. And on my last patrol, you had to recover from shoulder surgery. There was talks of having to amputate one of Kirsten's fingers to prevent a bacterial infection from spreading. Through all this, put on your game face and supported both the Tennessee Family Readiness Group and the Hidden Treasures family in the best way you knew how, crafting. Yep, you're my crappy wife. Want more details, we can talk later. It's a little inside joke from a halfway night on the Tennessee. Crystal and kids have also had a lot of experience with patrol extensions. Normally the SSBNs have a set schedule, not on the Rhode Island or Tennessee. On the Rhode Island, our motto was always alert. And I believe it was on my third patrol, we received an operations directive that told us to remain at sea until further notice. Until further notice. Never seen it before. On the Tennessee, I made the mistake of promising Crystal that there was no way that my first patrol as WEPS could get extended because there was an inspection scheduled for the end of the patrol. Wrong. We busted that schedule by almost 2 weeks. I also have a fitness report that documents how my last patrol with the Tennessee, which, as she will adamantly argue, I was not supposed to be on board for because my relief had already shown up. That patrol was part of the longest continuous patrol on the East Coast in a decade. Right? It was an at-sea chain of command, and it was just a lot of time at sea and alert. Again, very little communications. All that being said, Crystal and kids have seen a lot of schedule churn, but the schedule you had to maintain to get our kids to the appropriate therapies and medical appointments made my head hurt at times. The Military Spouse Medal I just had the privilege of pinning on you, and the flowers you're about to receive, flowers, are only a very small token of appreciation I have for the work you did to support my career. As it says on the back of that spouse medal, military spouse is the hardest job in the Navy. So thank you. For all the rest of you, so again, thank you all for coming out to help us celebrate. Plenty of food and drinks over in the fellowship hall afterwards. Thank you.
Guests, please rise and remain standing for the benediction and the piping ashore for our honored